Hello, welcome to Leading the Way at Leonard's, and I'm your host, Dwayne Knepper. Now, each year, January serves as Human Trafficking Awareness Month, a time to be even more focused on combating this heinous crime. And today, we'll be talking about how the trucking industry is uniquely positioned to fight human trafficking on a daily basis. And riding shotgun with me is Leonard's Express CEO, Ken Johnson. Welcome, Ken.
Hi, Dwayne. Great to be here as always. Leonard's Express joined the battle against human trafficking several years ago by joining Truckers Against Trafficking and partnering with them again in their battle against human trafficking. So for this episode, we've invited Liz Williamson from Truckers Against Trafficking to join us to discuss some of the things that they're doing.
Thanks for joining us, Liz. Liz, could you tell us a bit about your story? How did you get involved with Truckers Against Trafficking?
Well, hey, thank you guys so much for having me. And I got started with Truckers Against Trafficking as a survivor of trafficking. And I've been with them for about 2.5 years now. I was first trafficked by my mom when I was 6 years old. So I am 36 now. Happy to say that I've been out of trafficking for about 12 years. And they were really gracious to me. They knew that I had a story to make a difference and provided me a platform to share that story in a variety of different ways. And it includes podcasts like yours, where I get to tell people the difference that awareness makes, the difference that being involved in this campaign makes. So it's just huge to me. And like you said, January is a busy month. It is federally recognized by the government that we're going to fight trafficking. It started back in 2009 when it actually became a federal crime, which I'm not sure why it took so long, but I'm glad that it happened. So happy to be here and happy to make a difference. Thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you for sharing. I think we have a trailer that we can play that's really going to highlight what we're talking about. Our producer will put that on.
There's 2.4 million CDL drivers in the United States. We need to educate them about what we're talking about right here, human trafficking. We can make an impact. We can change everything that goes on out there by getting involved.
Thank God what saved me was that truck driver that called in and said, hey, this is whoever at the truck stop, and we have some girls out here that look pretty young.
911. A couple of girls that picked up 167 trying to do business out here.
Because this trucker made the call, I have an opportunity to actually have life. Without what he did for me, a simple phone call, without that, it would have been total opposite. But here I am, I'm sitting here with my mom, and that all could have been taken away. But because of, that trucker, I have, a future.
Oh, that trucker. The one that made that phone call. I think about him all the time. I have never met him. I don't know who he is, but boy, I owe him a lot. And if he ever sees this, thank you.
Get on your cell phone. Get the TAC card, get the hotline number, call, and if it's someone in trouble, and the cops will show up. It's going to give them a chance to come clean with what's going on, maybe get out of the situation that they're in. So, call the hotline, go inside, tell the management of the truck stop.
I think it has to stop, and I think it's going to take us drivers stopping it and reporting what we're seeing and taking action instead of shutting our curtains and hoping it goes away. I am a team truck driver with my husband, Bob.
Been a 16-year veteran of over-the-road truck driving.
I've been driving for 26 years.
And I am a trucker against trafficking.
And I'm a trucker against trafficking.
I'm a trucker against trafficking.
I am a trucker against trafficking.
My name is Andre, and I'm a trucker against trafficking.
And I am a trucker against trafficking.
Wow. This is going to be, that was an amazing trailer. This is obviously going to be an incredible podcast. Liz, your story is an eye opener as well. It
Thank
sounds
you.
like you're making an incredible impact. Ken, we talked about your experience with Truckers Against Trafficking in a previous episode. Can you give us a refresher on how you got started with Truckers Against Trafficking and how that relationship has evolved over the years?
Sure, Dwayne. I attended it's an event that the Trucking Association of New York puts on most every year. It didn't go on during COVID, of course, but our Call on Albany program, where we all convene on Albany to meet with our legislative officials and agencies, to discuss various issues that the trucking industry faces. And one particular year, Truckers Against Trafficking has a trailer that they take to events that highlights some of the activities that they've done, some of their success stories, but really brings to light what is going on with trafficking. And it blew me away. In a civilized society that, I think that time it was 2015 or something like that, at that time in a civilized society, especially the United States of America, that something like that was going on. It should not happen. So I came home after that, got in contact, with the organization, set up, we've been donating, every year since, to support their efforts. All our drivers, as part of orientation, goes through their course. All our trucks have the stickers on it. All the drivers are given the cards. All the drivers that we had when we first joined, we did through various drivers meetings. The non-driving officials, our office folks and shop folks have all been trained as well. We have the posters up around our various terminals. It's a great organization, and really, what better way to uncover some of these activities, with as many eyes and ears as we have out on the road, and 24/7. So whether it's rest areas or truck stops or parking lots or whatever, our folks are there, and so if they see something, we ask them to say something, get involved, to try to put an end to this. It's just amazing, as I said, that it's going on, in United States. So, and additionally, January 11th was Trafficking Awareness Day, and those that follow us on the various social platforms, you'll have seen that there were some pictures of our folks all dressed in blue, to highlight, the awareness of that. So we're, proud of our involvement there. I wish there wasn't a need for us to be involved, but until there isn't, we will stay involved.
I tell you, Ken, truckers obviously seem like the ideal ready-made force to combat this. You mentioned the company wearing blue. We are wearing blue today. Liz, what's the origin of wearing blue for Human Trafficking Awareness Day? How did that start? What does that support mean to your organization?
So that came from the Department of Homeland Security saying, hey, as a nation, we are fighting human trafficking. How do we bring recognition to the victims? How do we create solidarity with them and help them feel more visible? Because many victims, myself included, we feel invisible. We feel like no one cares, no one sees us. Most of our traffickers tell us, you're here and no one cares about you. So how do we change that dynamic? How do we feel seen, feel visible, and make a difference? They've been doing it for, I want to say 6-7 years at this point. It's definitely grown in popularity. I will make sure that I send a link over if anyone else is interested in how to participate and different things about it. But they also want people to share on social media about the indicators, share about the red flags, share about survivor stories that you know. And, it might sound too simplistic for some of us, but it makes a huge difference because the victims finally feel seen. And to me, that's the game changer of all of it.
Absolutely. This is obviously really great to see, blue and what you're talking about there, Liz. It reminds me, as I was going through truck driving school, there were certainly plenty of conversations about being solicited, the dangers of being a victim. the consequences of having your truck impounded, the embarrassment of being fired or going to jail. And of course, a common term that was used was lot lizards. And since I've been working for Leonard's, I became cognizant that not everyone wants that lifestyle and may actually be a victim themselves, not a reptile like they were referring to. And certainly I've learned what I can do to actually help. So, Ken, driver training is a huge part of fighting human trafficking. How have drivers responded to training on this important issue? Oh,
I've talked to a lot of them that have gone through the training. That's what I get for picking on you earlier, Dwayne. Just the mute button. But yeah, they all understand the importance of it. A lot of our drivers come from other companies that also are part of the program, so they've been through it themselves before. But I think a lot of them that go through it for the first time are like me. The first time I went through the trailer and I was made aware of the organization, they're just naive to what's really going on in the United States, and it opens their eyes. And to your point, some of the things that they saw going on, they didn't realize what it possibly was. That it was someone in a situation they couldn't get out of. That they needed help and they were being trafficked. The drivers just they were surprised at what the reality of that possibly was. And so they were appreciative of the training. They understood the need. I don't know that we've had any stories to share of our drivers making a call, but I read the newsletter that Truckers Against Trafficking send out every month, and it's just full of stories of successful takedowns of these organizations. And it's just you would think with everyone they take down, we get closer to the end, but unfortunately, there's plenty of backfilling going on, through various organizations and individuals, and foreign bad actors, in some cases. I think that's a big part of what's going on at the border. There's obviously people that want to get into the country for the right reason, but I think there's a lot of bad things going on there as well, and this is a part of that. So, but the drivers in general have been very supportive of it. We've had drivers come in, that didn't have a sticker on their truck for whatever reason. Maybe it was a new truck and then didn't get put on yet. That asked for it, so they're aware of it. They know what's part of it, and they understand the importance of what we're trying to do here.
Well, hey, Ken, when they do make a report about human trafficking and they tell you about it, they're eligible for our Harriet Tubman Award. Right. It is, I want one of the drivers from Leonard's Express to win that award. Sure. There's a gala held every year. There's a $2,500 reward. And You know what? It's the kudos of saving somebody's life. So I'm believing it's going to happen. Yeah,
no, you're right. It's a big deal to break one of these rings up. And, and I hope the next one is broken up, is by a Trucker Against Trafficking. But as long as it gets broken up at the end of the day, Absolutely. That's what matters.
And making the phone call, Ken and Liz, it can't hurt, even if it turns out that it's a nothing right. burger, as I say. It can't hurt. I had an experience prior to Leonard's, Maxton, North Carolina. I'll never forget it. I think I was initially more upset that someone even knocked on the truck door, and then when I realized they were in search of some change, it did make me feel a little uncomfortable. But who wants company at 3 o'clock in the morning? And the point was that I did call. At that time, it was 911, and by the time someone came out, obviously they were gone. But I think I would have felt better knowing that at least I made the call and the possibility was there. Liz. Go ahead.
I think one of the important things, you mentioned the phone call 911, and Liz, if you were going to mention this later, sorry to steal it from you, but it's important to use the phone number on that we pass out, because the people at the other end of that number are well trained to spot human trafficking. The police are getting better. There's more people being trained within the law enforcement. but a lot of time they see it the same way our drivers used to see it. It's just a prostitution situation, and they're not recognizing that the human trafficking may be what's going on. So by calling the phone number, you're getting trained professionals that know what to look for, know how to spot it, and know how to intervene in a way that won't just be writing a ticket and putting them back out on the street. So
for sure. And then the other part about calling the National Human Trafficking Hotline, when we see these statistics of, oh, California has this type of problem. I'm from California. Oh, it's number 2 in the nation, whatever. I like to say, hey, if you're calling the human trafficking hotline, the statistics that you can verify and trust come from the hotline, because if you call 911, if you call a local security office, they don't play into the national statistics. So the statistics we can trust come from the hotline. So when we're looking for verifiable, references of what kind of problem do we have, all 50 states have called into the hotline. 41% of the calls that are made into the hotline are about minors.
Wow.
So it's huge and it's necessary.
Liz, Truckers Against Trafficking gave, I imagine, hundreds of presentations to educate people about human trafficking. From your perspective as a training specialist,
sure,
how has training evolved since you've been with the organization?
So I've been with TAT since 2020. I will admit that 2020 was a weird year. I have given a lot of virtual presentations, which is fantastic. So this week I've done 2 podcasts and a presentation. It was a busy week, but all of January is busy, and that's how it is. Last week I was on site in Denver for 4 days. So it just kind of depends. When it comes to presentations, not that I know the specific number, but I'm going to say if our 2021 said we gave 140, at least 2022 was 200. Just because we continue to grow. My in-person training, it probably happens about every quarter that it is necessary for me to come in person. I know that I have a few trips lined up to different parts of the US. Last year, I actually got to go to Canada, which was really cool. I participated in a meeting for all of the trucking organizations in Canada, and they decided all of the different provinces that they were going to have the anti-trafficking training that TAT produces be required for the entry-level courses. So even Canada is getting behind this, and it's huge. And I'm not saying that in-person training is more impactful. I think it can be either. I think that if you listen to me and you hear that this choice was made for me at 6, you're going to do whatever it takes to not have my story be a reality for anyone else.
Right.
So, and I apologize for getting emotional, but please know that that comes from a deep place in me of I will do whatever it takes, because you shouldn't have to heal from this. So if it never starts in the first place, what a win.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I don't know if you wanted to chime in there, Ken, about the training experience that we have.
Yeah, I think we use a material that TAP provides us, for our training. I think typically now, because it's mostly done during orientation, smaller groups. I think that's works well. I think if I was to do a large group training for some reason, if I was going to help maybe the Trucking Association organize something like that, I think it'd be more impactful in person, to have somebody,
sure.
I think it's just like with anything else, the larger the room, the easier it is to hide. So you want to make sure that everybody's getting, the full impact, but as Liz says, you hear these stories, it's hard to ignore what's going on. If you're a human being and have a heart, it's just, it's just hard to ignore that, somebody is being put through this, in this world. And it's heartbreaking, but it's, it's exciting to see the success, because, every success, and then publicizing the prosecutions, so, maybe it just, comes to an end in our lifetime. would be, a wonderful thing.
It really would. And, another story that TAT was involved in, Kevin Kimmel, if you go to the TAT website, there's a video about him, but he saw an RV in a truck lot back in 2015, reported it, and the traffickers actually went to prison for 40 and 41 years. So it was a male and female. So it makes a tremendous difference. And I think prosecutions are key, because I think that's what changes the dynamic. If traffickers realize, oh, there's something that will come against me and harm me, they're selfish human beings. Of course they don't want to be caught. They're going to go back to doing whatever they did before they sold human beings.
Well, the prosecution is wonderful. I'm one of the opinion that 4 years is not enough. There's a special place in hell for people that would do that, and that's where they deserve to go. So,
absolutely. Liz, if I got this right, Truckers Against Trafficking has trained over 1,510,474 people. What is your goal for 2023, and how will you achieve it?
So our goal for 2023 is at least 1.8. I believe that is completely in the realm of possibility. I am so grateful to see that we've gotten to 1.5 when I started. So I can just speak from the Canadian perspective, because I did a lot of presentations virtually in Canada. When I started in 2020, we had 54 people trained. By the end of 2022, we had 17,000 people trained. So I think the more awareness that you can give, I will do as many virtual presentations or in person. I like them. But I mean, in the grand scheme, if you need to hear from a survivor and you think that that's going to be impactful to your company, invite me.
Absolutely.
Well, this is, I appreciate you taking the time out of such a busy month for you guys, because obviously the focus this month is on Truckers Against Trafficking. But have we missed any topics here? Anything that you want to add to this for our listeners that maybe I didn't ask?
We do actually have 2 new training platforms. One is for movers and in-home delivery. I actually share my story of having been trafficked in my home. If someone came into my home, what would they have seen? That could be a great resource. Another resource we have is for local delivery drivers. So if you have somebody doing that last mile, we have another one where we're saying, hey, if you come up to a house, what could you see? What could you notice? And there's a survivor who shares what her trafficker actually had an in-home daycare that the mom of the trafficker ran. And she says, well, they had my child. Here's what they could have seen, because she came and went from that house. And so what do we see as community members? What do we see as neighbors? I know that every day when I walk my dog, I'm taking note of my houses and those people. And how do I be a friendly face to the children in the neighborhood? What difference can I make as an individual?
Yeah, you don't think about that, because you hear on the news, oh, they seem so ordinary to me, as they're hauling them away in the background in handcuffs. So it's interesting. It would be interesting to learn some of the telltale signs that maybe most of us are unaware of, and pointing these things out. So that's interesting. We'll have to look at some of our training, and some of our operations are a little more specialized. I think for our drivers' sake, most of them are glad we don't go to homes, but we are in neighborhoods, and we all live in neighborhoods, obviously. So it may be an enhancement to some of the training we're already doing.
Yeah. This is a tragedy that is happening in the shadows, and so unless you know what to look for, it's highly possible. But again, it doesn't hurt to make the call, and if it turns out to be nothing, great. If not, you may have changed a life. Liz, I thank you so much for joining us today. Your ability to turn a tragic situation in your own life into a life-changing, life-saving solution for others is so powerful, and it's inspiring. I've done at least one safety meeting when we talked about this, and it is hard. You see the emotions You see it in the eyes. So thank you for all of your efforts to fight human trafficking.
Thank you for having me. And hey, let's end on a positive note, because sometimes I feel like we hear this issue and we think that victims don't recover. I just want to show you my finger for a second,
right.
and we're all just going to nod and acknowledge life after trafficking happens. It absolutely happens with the right resources. Yes, it took me a long time to heal, and healing is an ongoing journey. But I acknowledge that I have a good life. And that is what your drivers are fighting for those victims.
Agreed. And Ken, thank you for all that you and your team at Leonard's do to support this important cause.
No, thanks, Dwayne. And to Liz's point, one of the other organizations that we've been involved with over the years locally is a organization called Potter's Hands, and their project was building a home for victims of trafficking to go to help with their recovery. Where they could receive both security. They knew they were in a secure place, but right. The counseling and the all the various levels of help that they need, so that like Liz, they can come out of the other side and have a good life. That it's it's still a part of them, but they learn how to deal with it. And and there's a lot of organizations throughout the country that provide that same type of support. Of a home, after, they have a place to go to, receive the help they need. And, I'd encourage anyone listening to this, certainly to get involved with Truckers Against Trafficking, and their good work, whether it's, taking the training or offering financial support. They are a not-for-profit working on donations, and corporate and individual sponsors. So, I would encourage people to get involved there. But also, some of the local organizations that are providing, support, after the fact. I think that's, important as well. Finding them, removing them from the situation, and supporting them to get them on their feet. It's all a process, and it takes time, and certainly takes financial resources.
Thank you so much for mentioning that. We could not do what we do without companies like yours. We just couldn't.
Thank you. Proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a wrap for this edition of Leading the Way at Leonard's. If you have any questions or feedback, we would love to hear from you at leadingtheway@leonardsexpress.com. That's leading the way, all one word, at leonardsexpress.com. And please don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Knepper, with Ken Johnson, CEO of Leonard's Express. Until next time, keep on trucking.
We're running 18 wheels down that open highway. We drive on through the night so you can have it your way. We're the angels of the highway, bringing hope across this land. Success through service, it's all part of the plan. We'll settle for nothing less. We're Leonard's Express.